Hey community, I'm Sharie Behnke. I'm a small group director at our Yellow Box location. I'm joined today by Ted Coniaris, community pastor at our Downers Grove location. And this is Behind the Message. We're talking about week 2 of our Created for Community series. I'm a small groups director, so I'm all about this current message series. So I am so glad to carry on this conversation with you today. And you're talking about just joining a small group. We are created for community. And one of the things that you talked about, which just made me want to ask you this question, so I'm going to dive right in. You talked about hurdles in going to a small group.
Yeah.
Do you ever not want to go to a small group?
Never. Yeah, no, of course I do. There's several times I can think of, even recently, where I didn't want to go to my small group. No offense to my small group if you're watching right now, but it's easy to get really tired at the end of a day, or got a lot of stuff going on with my kids or my wife's job, or she's just getting home right when we're leaving, or I'm just getting home, and I'm like, oh man, I just don't feel up for it today.
Yeah.
So definitely felt that, but we've just really made a commitment to be there. And so we always go. Part of that is we're leading a small group, right? So that,
That helps with the commitment.
It helps with the
yeah.
commitment. But we just, we never say we're too busy. We don't use reasons like that not to attend. Like if we're in town, we're there. And that commitment over time has been, as I said in the message, just so fruitful for us in our marriage and our life, in our relationships, in our kids' relationships. I mean, it's like I don't always feel like eating a salad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes I love eating a salad, but it's not exactly the same. But if you consistently commit to those kinds of healthy practices in our community life, over time, it makes a massive difference. But if we kind of dodge in and out, we might get sick of it or think, oh, well, it's not really worth it. But the problem is, we've kind of given up before we actually gave it the chance it needed. And so, yes, I feel like not going all the time, even though I know that it's the best thing to do, even though usually the times I don't want to go are the best nights.
Yeah, that's true. Now you are quite busy. Not only, you have 3 boys. What do you do with your kids at small group?
Well, you've got a handful of boys yourself, Sharie, so you know. What do we do with our kids during small group?
Yeah.
Well, our group right now is a couples group, so it's all couples with young kids, and we have just made a commitment to get babysitters for our kids.
Okay.
It's a significant financial investment. For our family it is, and so it's not easy for us to do that.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, no big deal. But we've just said, this is so important. Not only are we going to be there every week, but we're also willing to pay to be there every week. And so that's what we do.
Yeah, my boys, they're old enough to stay by themselves now, but when they were younger, that's something my husband and I did. It was just something we knew we valued, and so we made that investment, and it is a financial commitment to that. But I love that my boys also got to know their babysitter who was in our neighborhood, and it's just been cool to see that relationship kind of grow too.
Yeah.
So it's just another sense of community for them as well.
Yeah, and I would also say, I think us going to small group every week and prioritizing that as a family is really an important example for our kids. They know we do that every Wednesday. They know that this is an important part of our life and our faith, and something that we're committed to, that we never miss. And so we're setting that example for them. We talk to our kids about giving, so we can set an example for them. We talk with them about how we're committed to community as a church, to set an example for them. And so, it feels like it can take away family time, but ultimately it's a better long-term investment in our kids' lives.
Yeah, and we've just made it a habit. I can't think since I've been part of community, I really can't think of a season I haven't been in a small group. And if I've been on a break for whatever reason, it's just like, we know we need to get back to a small group. It's just something that we've integrated into our life. That's just kind of how we do life. And I love that Kid City and Stuco really have that same example too, where I see my kids still have those great bonds that they created in 4th and 5th grade, carry on through high school, where my son Lewis is now. He still has a pretty tight small group anyway.
That's awesome.
That he experiences. So can you share a time where maybe in your small group you guys were able to rally together because you had a crisis that happened, maybe with you or with someone in your small group?
Oh yeah, like I said, we've been in a small group together for about 20 years now, in different small groups, a lot of different small groups. And so I have a ton of stories. One that really jumps out in my mind right now is one I actually shared at our Downers Grove location in the last series on financial crises. Kind of a long story, but we were in a situation in our marriage, we had just very little like savings because of an investment we made in a church actually, and then our sewer pipe collapsed in our front yard, and it was like 20 feet below the street. And basically we were like camping in our house. Like we had no way to have a drain or a toilet or anything work in our home.
Oh, wow.
So we had to have it fixed, and it was crazy expensive, and we couldn't pay it. We didn't like have the money to pay it. It was way too much. And so we didn't even ask our small group, but they heard what was going on, and they offered to pay for it. And our group came together and actually paid for that. It was crazy, like way beyond anything. We wouldn't have ever asked them to do that.
Yeah.
And they just did it. It was unbelievable. It was like we still have a piece of that sewer pipe sitting at our home right by our dining room table.
Oh, wow.
As we washed it, don't worry. Yeah, but it's not what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But no, we have it sitting there as a reminder of God's faithfulness.
Awesome.
And so, I can think of that. And so many times we've rallied around others in relational situations or financial situations or whatever it might be.
Right.
We've been able to serve each other, and those are the times where we really get to see something amazing happen.
Yeah. It really sounds like, what we talked about last week even, where the community comes together and they share their resources to help anyone in need, and that's just that community kind of playing out.
That's a great way to put it. It was
living
Acts
it
2.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Very
Acts 2.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love the quote that you had in there by Rick Warren, talking about how small groups are the church. And I think we really experienced that through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like our church really was able to continue and thrive. Church community, all our locations were able to thrive during that season because of our small groups. How much of an impact did that have at the Downers Grove location?
Oh man, it was huge. That was everything for us.
Yeah.
That was our only connection, even though it was over Zoom. It was a great way to connect and a great way to keep those relationships going. If you're not familiar with our Downers Grove location, we're 4 years old, and basically half of our life as a church has been in a pandemic where we couldn't meet.
Yeah.
Think about that. So we had 50% of our history is just as small groups.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, we started as a group of small groups before we ever had a church service. So that has always been a part of our culture. Starting that way, I think, is what helped us endure that way as a community through the pandemic. Who would have thought, God knows best. His plan actually works.
Yeah.
And being a community is wonderful.
I know the small group was really impactful during the pandemic for me, and definitely just life-saving. I probably can't even stress that enough. Now, we've talked about small groups being, helpful in crisis and preparing us for, difficult things in life. But small groups really are fun.
Yeah.
And they are. I just think of some of my greatest memories have been with my small groups. Can you think of a time that you've had just a great deal of fun in your small groups?
Yeah, I don't know that I have one story that really jumps out at me, but I probably have hundreds of stories of little moments, like dinners together, sitting around a bonfire together, being able to there have been a few times where people in our small group have even come to our kids' games or something and been able to support and love on my kids, which means so much to me. I have so much fun with our small group. Every time we get together, we have a great time. And so, we talked a lot of the preventative things about small groups in our lives, the wisdom of small group, but you're absolutely right. I have so much fun with the people in our small group every week.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned that they come to your boys' games, because I know I don't have family around here, and my small group members have come and cheered my boys on, and they love it. It really is an extension of family.
It really is.
That we have, especially if you don't have family that live in the area. They can come around and support you, definitely, and cheer you on and have a good time.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, any lasting thoughts that you want to mention on?
No, I appreciate that last question, because I think we can talk about the heavy stuff of community, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Definitely, and worth it. I'm a small groups director, so I'm always going to be encouraging you to get into a small group. It's just how we're going to get through life and how we cheer one another on. If you want more information about all the things that are happening at Community, but specifically about getting connected in a small group, you can go to communitychristian.info. But have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you. Am I going to not be happy about this?
No.
That's fine.
Hey, I'm walking in.
That's probably how I do look. Just, I kind of have that vibe. My grandpa worked a fruit stand in Boston. That was their family business.
Oh, wow.
Was it just a fruit stand? Or
Yeah.
was it a front burner?
All that I'm aware of is the fruit.